Hi, fifth grade. Today we are doing lesson 5.9, which is just division practice. So this is a mixed practice of all the division skills we know how to do so far. Some of them are just regular numbers. Some have a decimal outside the house. Some have a decimal inside the house. Some have a decimal in both places. There are some that are just 1 digit, some that are 2 digit. Everything that we know how to do with division. So yesterday in class, which is what you're about to see now, we did all of these notes together, and they were long. They took all of class time. And then today during math class at school, I'm giving you time to work on your homework for lesson 5.9. We just couldn't do both in one day because they're long. Now, on these notes, I am only going to do some of them on the video because if I did all of them, the video is going to be really, really, really long, and you don't need to watch all of them. This is just a review. We already know how to do all of these things. So I'm going to skip around and do one of each kind, and then you can go ahead and start on your assignment. Now, if you want more practice with the notes, you could pause the video and also do some more of the ones that I don't actually do on the video if you feel like you need to do that, okay? But I'm just gonna skip around and do the ones that I feel like we really need to touch on to review, and then you can work on your assignment. I don't want this video to be super, super long by me doing all of them. Okay, so there's some regular problems here we're gonna do, and then there's some word problems on the next page that I also want to do a few with you. So let's go ahead and start with number 1. Since this is mixed practice, we always have to check outside the house first. If there's a decimal out here, we need to take care of that. If it's a regular number, we're ready to start. So the first thing I always wanna ask myself is there a decimal outside the house? No, there's not, so I am ready to go. This is 2 digits though, so I need to round that. 35 is going to round to 40. Then I'm gonna look inside the house. We need to start with 171, and I'm ready to go. Cover up my back numbers. How many 4s will fit into 17? That would be a 4. Need to multiply 35 times 4. That would be 140, so I need to subtract 140 right here, giving me a 31. Then I want to stop and check. Every time after I subtract, I need to stop and check. Is 31 smaller than 35? Yes, so I know that 4 is correct. If this isn't smaller, then I need to redo something because that number is wrong. You have to check. If it's smaller, we're good to go. So we are good to go to bring down our next number. Cover up those back numbers and go again. How many 4s will fit into 31? That would be 7. 35 times 7 is what I need to do. Ooh, that still seems pretty far away from that. So I'm gonna try 8. I'm not gonna erase that yet. I'm just gonna try 8 and see. So 35 times 8. Ooh, that's still a little bit far away. I think it might fit one more time. So I'm gonna try 35 times 9 and see. Notice I haven't erased anything. I'm just finding a new spot on my paper to work. Ooh, 9 is perfect. So I need to erase my 7. I changed my mind. It actually needs to be a 9. Then I'm going to subtract 315, which is a 0. Now, I'm not done. Remember, I got a 0 here, but if I look up, I have another 0 I can bring down. So remember that little trick. We can count how many zeros we have left to bring down and just add them to our answer. So I can just add one more 0 to my answer, 490. We can't forget to look for those extra zeros. All right, let's try another one. We're gonna do number 2 next. Remember, first I'm gonna check outside the house. Do I have a decimal number? Yes, so I need to fix it. Remember, I need to move that decimal to the back. So it needs to go back 1 spot. If I do that, I have to do something inside my house, but there's no decimal inside my house. What do I do if there's no decimal inside my house? Well, remember, if there's no decimal, I just add a 0. However many times I moved out here, that's how many zeros I add. So we just moved 1 spot, so I just add 1 0 in there. Now I can X out the 0 in front of the 6 if I want to, and I am ready to start. How many 6s will go into 54? That would be a 9. 6 times 9 is 54, which gives me a 0. Then I look, there's one more 0 that I could bring down, so I'm going to add that to my answer. 90 would be my final answer. Alrighty, let's try number 3. First, I want to check outside my house. Do I have a decimal out here? Nope, so I am good to go. How many 6s will go into 9? That would be 1. 6 times 1 is 6. When I subtract, I get a 3, and then I bring down the 8, and I go again. How many 6s will go into 38? That would be a 6. 6 times 6 is 36. Subtract, which gives me a 2. Bring down again. How many 6s will go into 20? That would be a 3. 6 times 3 is 18. When I subtract, I get a 2. Now I have nothing to bring down, so I need to pause and think. Can I have a remainder, yes or no? Remember, if we have decimal numbers, we can't have a remainder. But if I have normal numbers, I can have a remainder. So if I look like I have to have a remainder, I'm going to look up at my problem. Well, in this one, there were no decimals. So yes, I can have a remainder. So my remainder would be 2. If that was a decimal number, I would need to keep going by adding those zeros. So you have to check and see, can I have a remainder, yes or no? All right, we're going to skip number 4 because it's very similar to number 1, so we won't worry about doing that one on the video. Let's go down to number 5. This one has a decimal in both places, so let's do this one. Starting on the outside, I need to move this decimal back 1 spot. If I move this decimal back 1 spot, I need to go inside the house and move that one back 1 spot. They have to do the same thing. Then I'm going to recopy that with my decimals in the new spot so that I do not get confused. All right, and we are ready to divide by 5, going into 45. Now, when I go into 45, I'm already behind my decimal, so I need to copy it up here in my answer because we're already starting behind the decimal point, so all my numbers have to go back here. All right, 9 into 45 would be, 5 into 45 would be 9 times. I got ahead of myself. 5 times 9 is 45. When I subtract, that's a 0. And I have nothing to bring down, so 0.9 would be my answer on that one. Let's also do number 6. We've done one kind of like this, but this will be good practice. So looking outside my house, I do have a decimal number, so remember I have to move that back 2 spots this time. And then I look inside my house, I don't have a decimal, so I know I need to add 2 zeros because I moved this 2 spots. Now I'm ready to divide. How many 8s will fit in 72? That would be 9. 8 times 9 is 72. Swipe that, which gives me a 0. Once I get to 0, I can check and see. I have 2 more zeros that I could bring down, so I'm going to add them behind my answer. 900. Don't forget to check for those zeros. And number 7 is very similar to number 3, so I'm going to skip that one too just to save us some time. Flipping to the other page of my notes, we have a few word problems here. Okay. We're also only going to do a few of these because we don't need to do all of them. Let's do number 8 though. The Ramsey family collects and sells maple syrup. Last month they collected 57.8 liters of syrup. They will pour it into bottles that hold 0.85 liters. How many bottles will the Ramseys fill? All right, I'm going to work it over here to the side. So I'm going to put a number 8. The total amount of syrup they had was 57.8. And they are dividing that into bottles that will hold 0.85. Now I notice everything involves decimals. So let's solve that first. We need to move this one back 2 spots, which means I need to go inside the house and move that one back 2 spots. Uh-oh. I have an empty loop in there once I move it back 2 spots, which means I need to add a 0. Now I'm going to rewrite that problem with my decimals in their new spot just to make sure that I don't get confused as I'm dividing here. And then I am ready to go. 85 is going to round to 90. And I'm going to start with 578. So I'm going to cover up my back number of each. How many 9s will fit into 57? That would be a 6. Then I need to multiply 85 times 6. Which would be 510. So I'm going to subtract 510. That would be 68. And then remember, I'm going to pause and check. Is 68 smaller than 85? Yes, so my 6 was right. So I'm going to continue. Bring down this 0. Cover up your back numbers and go again. How many 9s will fit into 68? Well, I think it's going to be a 7. Then I need to multiply 85 times 7. Ooh, that looks a little small. Let me multiply by 8 and see if it happens to be an 8. Ooh, it is an 8. So I'm going to erase my 7. Changed my mind on that. It got me close, but it wasn't 7. So I'll put my 8 up here and subtract 680 because that's what I got, which gives me a 0. I have nothing left to bring down, and I did not go past my decimal, so my answer does not need a decimal in it. My answer would be 68. So I'm going to go back over here to my word problem, and I'm going to write 68 and look for my label. It says how many bottles. So bottles would be my label. Alrighty, let's do number 9. The Clark family is having a big lawn party. They have 196 chairs, and they want to put 8 chairs at each table. How many chairs will be left over? All right, so I'm going to scooch back over here to my work area. They have 196 chairs, so that has to go in the house, and they want to put them 8 at a table. As I'm looking, there's no decimals involved. We're just normal numbers, so I'm ready to start. How many 8s will go into 19? That would be 2. 8 times 2 is 16. Subtract, that's a 3. Bring down my 6 and go again. 8 into 36 would be 4 times, which is 32. Subtract, which is a 4. Now I have nothing to bring down, so I have to think. Can I have a decimal here, yes or no? Yes, I can. These are all regular numbers. Ooh, I think I said, can I have a decimal? We don't have a decimal. I meant, can I have a remainder? Yes, I can have a remainder because these are all normal numbers. So my remainder would be 4. Remember, if I have a decimal, I cannot have a remainder, but we had regular numbers, so we can. Now I have to use my answer here to answer the question that they're actually asking. How many chairs will be left over? Well, remember, my remainder tells me the leftovers. So my remainder was a 4. So to answer the actual question, I would just put 4 chairs because that is what is left over. Alrighty, let's do number 10 and then we will call it good for our video today. There's a few more, but they're very similar to these that we've already done, so we will skip those on the video. Number 10 says, Lakeisha and Raj went to an electronics store. Lakeisha bought a television for $358.40. This is 28 times as much as Raj spent on a new video game. How much did Raj's video game cost? Alrighty, going over here so that I can begin working out number 10. My bigger number has to go on the inside, which is $358.40. So we have a decimal in there. Divided by, and my other number was a 28. Now remember, we want to check outside the house. Do we have a decimal out here? No, we do not. So we're ready to go. We'll worry about this decimal when we get to it as we're solving. So let's round 28. It would be close to 30. And then I'm going to start just with my first 2 numbers because it's going to fit right in there. Cover up my back numbers. How many 3s will fit in 3? That would be a 1. Now remember, my number is actually 28. So 28 times 1 would be 28. I'm going to subtract. That would be a 7. Remember, we want to stop and check. Is 7 smaller than 28? Yes, so our 1 was correct. Now I can continue. Bring down the 8. I did not pass my decimal yet, so I just keep on going. Don't put a decimal yet. Cover up my back numbers. How many 3s will fit into 7? Well, that would be a 2. Then I need to multiply 28 times 2. I'm just going to do it up here. That would be 56, so I need to subtract 56 here, which would be 22. Do my check. Is 22 smaller than 28? Yes, so the 2 was right. Bring down my next number. Now when I bring down this 4, I went past my decimal, so I need to put my decimal up here in my answer. Then I'm ready to keep on going. So cover up those back numbers. How many 3s will fit in 22? That would be a 7. Then I need to multiply 28 times 7. That would be 196. Ooh, that seems kind of small. I'm going to go ahead and do 8 and see if it would work. 28 times 8. Let's see if it will work before we just write this down. Ooh, 8 works perfectly. So I'm going to change my 7 to an 8. We changed our mind. Remember, 7 got us close, but sometimes we have to change our mind. And then subtract 224. That's a 0. Now I'm going to look. Ooh, I have one more 0 that I could bring down. So instead, I'm going to add it to my answer. So 12.80. Going back over to my word problem, I'm going to copy down my answer to the question, 12.80. And my label is going to be the $sign because it says, how much did Raj's video game cost? $12.80. Okay, cut out a few examples to make the video a little bit shorter, but this is all review. You just have to pay close attention because each problem is a little bit different. Go ahead and start on your 5.9 assignment. Do your very best.